Oh, well, that's ghetto. uh, Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Coast to Coast. Uh, Little 2K with my co-host Beyond 716. Hey, man, it's great having one of these after a win, isn't it?
Isn't it? I know, especially the last month or plus, right? It's been, we've had uncomfortable podcasts, so to speak, right? Just talking about
It's been a little
incredibly
rough. It's
disappointing
been a little,
losses. Yeah,
it's been a little
absolutely.
rough. But I do have to say, man, I'm excited because some great things have happened since we were last here. We talked about it a little bit. Ken Dorsey was relieved of his duties. The offense went out and responded the way I thought they would against a great defense in the New York Jets. All the respect in the world to them, one of our biggest rivals, and it was a offensive explosion, which is something that's been it's a term kind of being overused now in Bill spaces on on Twitter. But Joe Brady, the players have really taken to. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's his energy. I don't know what it is. But something about Joe Brady has gotten these guys energized and they're ready to go. They're playing. They're executing like they haven't unlike what we've seen pretty much over the last 28 games or so, give or take a few. So what do you think Joe Brady means to this team so far?
Sometimes we see it in all kinds of sports, Whittle, right? You see like an NBA coach fired, or a Major League Baseball manager gets fired. Sometimes it refocuses that locker room, right? Even if it's a guy that, I mean, you could tell that Josh had a close relationship with Ken, right? We wish
Mm,
Ken well. I mean, I'm not wishing Ken any ill will. He just, maybe some coordinators just not fits for certain organizations, and maybe he'll find something better. But in this case, I feel like Josh really took this one personal, Whittle, right? This is a new thing for Josh. We
right.
talked about it last week. This is the first time, Dable left on his own accord, right? He got a promotion. That was a great thing. This is, and you know how it is. When you uproot your family and you're moving around and they tell you you're fired, Ken's got to move somewhere else now, right? It's quick. It's like a quick dagger. There's no like ceremonious send off or anything. But just back to what it does for the Bills, sometimes it just refocuses everybody in that room. And I remember Sean O'Hara on the NFL Network said last week he expected Josh to cook because he's going to take that personal, right? He's going to look at himself and say, I'm going to prove it. I'm going to sort of do it for Ken, but I'm not going to say it, right? And I think we saw a bump in that, but there were so many schematical things which we're going to get into,
Right.
which show that it was more than just the emotional side of it. So, and we'll see if that carries forward. And it's the perfect timing because we're getting into the hardest part of our schedule.
Absolutely. We actually already started. The Jets was the first domino to fall. I mean, that's just because of the style of play that they play with. They're very long, they're very physical. They don't have a weakness on the defensive side of the football. Um their offense stinks. The offense it stinks.
Hmm.
It stunk for years now. But it's just at this point it's historically bad, right? Um, but it's still one of the better. It's still one of the more formidable teams. I guess you would have to say based on what they've done so far, their resume, defensively this year. They made Patrick Mahomes look. They made Jalen Hurts look bad. Week one, Josh Allen kind of you know whatever you want to call that. He just didn't look good. So yeah, man. A big win, a big divisional win. It's something that we needed. We're now what are we 2 and
I
2?
think
We're
we
2 and 2
two and two.
in the division
Hmm.
with 2 games to go. Yeah, 2 and 2 with 2 games to go. Um,
Yep.
but I was I was happy about the energy that I saw. And leading into that, I just want to point out a couple of players, man. Um, you have your obvious ones, man. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs. You have, James Cook, who had a solid game. But I want to talk about, um, I want to talk about Reggie Gilliam. Reggie Gilliam. We clamor for these guys to get on the field. He's a fullback slash tight end slash H back. He's a four-phase special team player. Um, he gets a ton of snaps, but you never really see him. He's number 41. Um, and he set the tone, man. Like that hit on the kickoff return, forced a fumble. We get the ball back immediately. We're rolling. We end up getting 3 points. One of the biggest things that we had issues with over the last 6 games was turning our drives into points, and we actually were able to do so in the first quarter. Got off to a fast start. 3 points against the Jets is like 10 points against most teams, so we'll take it. And I just wanted to point him out. Do you have a standout player you would like to point to? Because I have another one.
Yeah, there's a few. You mentioned James Cook, right? I thought, his numbers don't show it, Whittle, but I thought that was one of his best games as a Bill, right? It's just, when he was getting hit, looked like it was going to be nothing was going to be there, and he would somehow get through and get, a couple more yards. He was really fighting for, he's really, I think he's taken that next step as a running back. Like I was very impressed because everybody thought Cook is just one of those guys who goes down easy. It's all about we've always talked about needing a more physical running back. I think Cook is starting to get a little more physical. So one thing about that start, right, is the hit with Gilliam, right, in the fumble. We got stopped right away, right? The Jets stopped us on 3 plays,
Right.
and we get a field goal. The Bills in the last few games against the Jets, they would be affected by that. Not this week. We
Mhm.
came right back down, right? We didn't, because the Jets got a little victory on that, right? They held us to a field goal, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. The Bills are gonna struggle this game. They're gonna prod through this game, but no, it didn't happen this time. And I thought that was a huge, huge development. I mean, Khalil Shakir is one guy that such an explosive play, but we're just seeing so many good things out of Shakir now. I mean, is he now the quote unquote number two receiver on this team? I mean, from a wide receiver point of view, obviously Kincaid is getting a lot more run, but I just want to point out Shakir. I feel like this guy, at times wasn't doing much, but he's been ready and he's stepping up to the plate. He's taking advantage of his opportunity.
Right. 100%. Um, I gotta point out East Orange's own. We're Jersey guys, so young man out of
Yes.
East Orange, New Jersey. Um, Late addition by Triple B, Big Baller
Mhm.
Bean to bring in Rasul Douglas. He went out like Big Baller Bean went out on the trade deadline, used a third round pick, and got a number one corner that's under contract next year, and got a fifth round pick back. And a lot of people may look at that and say, "Oh, it's a fifth round pick. So what? Who cares about fifth round picks?" Matt Milano was a fifth round pick. I
Mhm.
mean, fifth round picks on this team matter. Khalil Shakir was a fifth round pick. Fifth round picks on this team matter. So
Mhm.
you gotta give Bean some credit on doing that. That was a need. He addressed it immediately. But I don't want to stop there. Um, I'm gonna go with one more guy. Uh, Deion Dawkins, man. Like I'm gonna go with Deion Dawkins.
Rahway?
Yeah, Rawway, New Jersey. Let's stand up.
Yeah. Yes,
Deion is
sir.
D Deion's playing some great football. Like, this is like all pro level right now. His PFF rating, his PFF grade is out of this world. He's one of like the top 10 tackles in the NFL right now. I don't care what metric you use, like he's up there. And what's funny is, like, did you see, like, when he gets pushed over, he hits the ground and he kind of lays out. And I'm immediately stressed because I'm like, yo, the injury bug has been killing us the last couple of years. So I'm like, yo, we cannot lose Dion right now. And then he pops up, does a little thing for the crowd, man, and it just gets the place energized. That was great. Then he got into it a little bit in the tunnel with Michael Clemens, the
Oh
Jets
yeah.
defensive end. And unfortunately for the Jets, man, they lost on the field. They lost in the tunnel after the game, and then Sauce Gardner ran to Twitter to dispel a rumor that dispel the notion that he got burnt by Khalil Shakir for that 81-yard touchdown. So they lost on social media too. So I mean, all three phases of life in 2023, the Jets managed to lose on Sunday, and I love to see it. But now we're in the AD. We're in AD officially after
Mhm.
Dorsey. That's the era we're in right now. After Dorsey
AD.
era.
Yeah.
Yes, the after Dorsey era. I have to ask you, Beyond. We have the Eagles on Sunday. We have the bye week. We got the Chiefs in Kansas City. We got the Cowboys at home. We got the Chargers in LA. We got the Patriots at home. We got the Dolphins. And I mean, I feel like I'm missing somebody. I may not be, but if I am, man, I'm whatever.
I got
Your
you.
team's probably whatever team I'm missing, you're gonna lose us anyway. So
Oh, okay. A little preview.
yeah, we talking spicy now, man.
There
We
we
got our
go. All
we
right.
got our
Okay.
mojo back a little bit, but
Yep.
no. All seriousness, what do you think the outlook is for the remainder of the season? We got six games to go. We're like a game and a half. We're like a game behind Miami right now because we own the
hmm
tiebreaker and we still have a game to play. We got one more game with them. So, what's your outlook on the rest of the season? How do you think we fare?
Whittle, did you ever see that meme with, I think it's a high school team in Michigan, where the guy goes, I think I got my swagger back, and he does that whole, ha, ha. It's one of my favorite memes of all time. I
Yeah,
love that
yeah.
meme. That's how I felt
Mhm.
after that game. I don't know if you felt it, but I felt like the whole team. I mean, how many memes did we get for this game? Ed Oliver, going like this, doing high steps on the sidelines. Ed with the sack dance. Let's just keep giving Ed some love. I mean, Ed Oliver has just been. I'm blown away by
Yeah.
Oliver, and we're gonna get into how big of a matchup he's got this week. But it this it's like we talked about Damian Woody in our spaces, right?
Mhm.
Football is a very emotional game. He said it over and over again. He played, he
Right.
understands it, right?
Yeah.
That
Shout out to
that
Damian Woody, man. Shout out to him.
yes, absolutely. He's our guy. But he understands it. And this is such like you said it last week. It the you said if we score over 27 points, you think we're gonna start rolling, right? You mentioned something about that. And the way that we won. I mean, what if we won this game 13-12? Let's say it was an ugly performance,
Yeah.
right? But this just
You would
galvanizes
feel
the
totally
entire.
different. You would feel
Yeah,
totally
it's a
different.
whole organizational just shot. It's like a shot of adrenaline, bam, right? And we need it against, we're gonna have two of the toughest teams in the league coming up. So in their building. So not an easy task. But I feel a very quiet confidence. We know what this team's capable of, Little. We talked about it at nauseum. The little things that we needed to see from our offense, right? The
Right.
little shifts, the little motions, the little. I couldn't believe some of the plays they were called. I was just like, but yes, yes, I was screaming. You know what I mean? It says, but that's where I'm at right now. And granted, we
Mhm.
still have injuries and we still have things we got to overcome. I mean, we can't forget we did lose Milano, we lost Trey. That's still part of it, but I feel like what Bean has done to bring in Rasul, right, and the emergence let's give a shout out to Tyrell Dotson. I mean, where was that? Where'd that come from last week? Right? I mean, Tyrell Dotson I was all over the field. So maybe he's going to be a little bit of more of a factor than we
He played well.
originally thought. Let's give him his flowers, Whittle. We really have to. I
Oh,
mean, we've been tough on him, but last week he was excellent. So, but yeah, I feel a quiet
all
confidence
you'll
as
get
to where
out
we're
of me
going.
where Terrell Dodson is concerned is he played well.
What are the PFF has him rated a number one linebacker? You have any comment on that, Whittle?
No.
I
Let's
think your
move
face
on.
says it all right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's move on.
Mhm.
So yeah, like we're facing some tough teams. Um
Mhm.
probably I think we faced the best defensive unit that we're gonna face all year. And this is not a slight to the rest of the teams that we play on the schedule, but I think the best
Mhm.
defensive unit we faced, uh we've already gotten 2 games out of them, and that's the Jets. So the
Mhm.
fact that we were able to put up 32 points, it feels good, but it's not a true litmus test, right? This team that we're facing has a very similar front four. Uh, Pass rush win rate, they're near the top. They're near the top in the league. They don't need to blitz a ton. Um, they have 2 guys on their team that are top 5 in pass rush win rate at their position.
Mhm.
Hassan Reddick is number 5 at defensive ends, and Jalen Carter is number 1. They're also the number 1. Let me make sure I get this correct because I don't want to screw this up. Okay. They have the number 1 rush defense in terms of yards per game. They're giving
Mhm.
up 4 yards per play. Um, that's a really tough front four. You got to give some love to their linebackers. They're working in some new guys, the Kobe Dean. I'm not too familiar with the rest of their linebackers because I know that they've had some turnover over there or in the offseason, and we're bringing in a guest very soon that's going to be able to get more in depth with that. But a lot of big names. They got big play Slay back there at corner. James Bradbury, a former All Pro, Pro Bowl guy. Avante Maddox went down with an injury, but Sidney Brown standout rookie that we talked about in the offseason. I loved him coming out of college. Thought he was a guy that Buffalo would target because of the speed, athleticism, the strength, um, solid ball skills, et cetera, et cetera. And and then they trade for one of the best safeties in the league. So we got to give some love to Howie Roseman. He went out to Tennessee. He went down to the fire sale down there and stole a all pro safety in Bayard. And Bayard had a big interception against KC this past Sunday night in the win. Was it Sunday or Monday? They played Monday night, right? Or Sunday? I think it was. I don't remember, man. It was. I think it was Monday Night Football or Sunday, whichever night it was. But one of those night games, and Bayard had an interception in the end zone to take points off the board. Huge play. They end up winning the game. Yeah, man. So without further ado, I want to bring to the show he is not one of the people I know from Twitter. I know him from a Facebook group of some young successful black men. We talk sports, we talk trash, we talk sports, and then we talk about some other things as well. Shout out to the group. We'll leave it there, but let me bring my man Jay Ham to the stage. Jay Ham, welcome,
Yo,
brother. Jay, welcome, brother.
appreciate you. Appreciate you,
Oh,
Sons.
yes, sir. Thank,
Appreciate you.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
thank you
Hey,
for
how are you
coming through,
doing?
man. Good, good.
Yeah, super excited to be here. I've been hearing great things about it. Glad you created some time for me to jump in. Talk sports. You know how we
Absolutely,
do, Silas.
absolutely.
So it's always good to break bread, brother.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So, you're a big Eagles fan, obviously.
Let's go.
He
Let's
had to
go.
throw. You see what he got in the background? He had to throw the champions up there, NFC East champions. Yeah, I mean, we know a little something. We know a little something
Nice.
about the AFC East champions, but
Hmm.
um, yo, so 9-1, best record in the NFL, um, best offensive line in the NFL, really great set of weapons in AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, and then they go and add, in my opinion, future Hall of Famer, Julio Jones to that
Hmm.
weapon to that room. The things that Swift is doing on the ground.
Yep.
I mean, and this is all after some turnover in the coaching in the coaching room. Yeah, man, just like let's talk a little bit about your team, man. This is your moment, man. Let the Bills fans know, what they might not know about the Philadelphia Eagles of 2023.
Yeah. Again, thanks for having me. Super excited again to be here to just talk shop. Obviously, we got a big showdown coming this Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that. But I think this year has been a year of acclimation for us, right? Like obviously with the transitions taking places with our DC and OC with Gannon and Steichen, I think is just trying to figure out like how do we actually run this offense? And I know there's a few new pieces in the mix. Of course, the big splash was Swift. And then, of course, Julio Jones just helped supplement. We got Penny from Seattle and all that. But I think from an offensive standpoint, I think it's just trying to figure out like how do we use all these pieces that we have. Of course, with BJ, with Brian Johnson being there as a quarterback coach over the last year or so, he's acclimated to the offense. But I think now that he's really running the show from a coordinator standpoint, I think he's just trying to figure out like how to open up this playbook. Is I think as you peruse like Twitter, you'll notice that a lot of the Eagles fans, including myself, are kind of growing a little bit frustrated with some of the play calls that are taking place. And in my personal opinion and estimation, I feel like we're just kind of getting by just due to the level of talent that we have, and it's not so much the execution of the offense, which I think is going to be a risk. I think this week coming up against you guys, and understanding how to utilize these pieces against a team that has a really decent defensive front. So I think this is something that we're going to figure out, and we're continuously figuring out. And in my personal estimation, while we do have an amazing O-line, I think overall our offense is underperforming in the execution of our offense. So that's just my estimation of that. But I think looking forward, right? Like at the end of the day, I think my homeboys Kevin and Alan are on here. But I tell them like a W is a W, man. Just keep collecting the W's. We'll figure it out. It doesn't always have to be pretty, but I think from my end, I'm always having heart attacks and minor heart attacks during the game. But the focus is always at the end of the game. Like, do we get the W or not? So to your point, yeah, we're 9-1 right now. But yeah, again, not to go on too long of a soliloquy, but I think it's just a season of adaptation and acclimation to the new pieces and people playing new roles. And then obviously Jalen is trying to figure it out as well, right? Like he has new pieces he needs to figure out. Obviously with Swift, Julio, the utilization with the two studs on the outside as well, right? So very, very, very much a upside that I think we can take advantage of moving with the last few games of the season.
Yeah, and with all that being said, I mean, the numbers don't always look pretty. I was watching that game and I'm like, it's fourth quarter, about 8 minutes to go. You just got the ball back, and you call 2 wide receiver screens or back-to-back plays.
Yeah, I know you saw my tweet out of frustration with that. Like, see things like that, right? Doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when we're pushed back. I think we're on like our 8 or 10 or something like that, and like we're running with Julio. Like, we got to get out of congestion. Like, that's not the right thing to do with Julio and where he's at in his career, right? Like, he's a red zone guy on their end, not on our end, right? Like, so it's like let's be a little bit smart about that. But again, we're adapting and we're adjusting. And I think Brian is learning. A fun fact that I like literally, I don't know how I missed this, but he was he was an OC in college at like the age of like 25 or something crazy. Like he's been in the game for a minute actually. So he's been around the block, and it was talked about a little bit today in Jalen's presser or whatever, but he's going to figure it out, and I hope he figures it out, especially once we get into the playoffs and we start to face this stiffer competition. Because as you can see, this week is when the real season for us starts with, this gauntlet, as, Stephen A and the team will say that we're going to go through over this next 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah. I think you got, what is it? It's Buffalo. I mean, you just started it basically with the Chiefs, right? You get a win there.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo, who, I mean, everybody probably thought that we were going to be a lot better than I thought we were going to be a lot better at this point. 6-5 is definitely not where we wanted to be, but nevertheless, here we are. After that, you guys got are you guys going to San Fran, or is San Fran
No,
coming?
no, they got to come to our crib. So
They go to
Okay.
we have you guys coming this week, Niners the next
Mhm.
week, and I believe that we go to Dallas, and then
Yep.
Seattle. We go to Seattle, and then
Mhm.
for the most part, it's smooth sailing. I think for the last 3 games.
Yeah, you guys are done with Washington. So yeah, so let's talk about this Eagles team, right? The run defense, excellent. You guys
Yep.
are the front four has never been, has not been a point to kind of dwell on too long. We know what it is. Like, it's a bunch of studs. They get after the quarterback. They don't need the blitz, and you can't run up the middle. Got it.
Correct.
You know,
Yep. Yep.
the Philadelphia Bulldogs or the Georgia Eagles have that
Let's
front
go.
four sewn up. That's it. Like, you know what I
Yep.
mean? You want to play for the Eagles, you go to Georgia and you play football. That's how it works.
Yep.
The passing defense, though, I'm looking here at the pass defense. The pass defense per game, not horrible, but it's not great either. It's towards the bottom of the league. You're giving up just
Yep.
under 250 yards a game. QBR, quarterback rating of 96, which
Yep.
I mean, and that's an issue, right? That's
Mhm.
an issue. So I think playing a team like Buffalo is kind of exactly what you need in order to kind of get things on the right track. Because if you can stop a team like Buffalo, which
Mhm.
is a 70, 70% or more true pass set team,
Yep.
if you can stop that offense, which seems to be figuring itself out now, then you can go into Dallas and you can deal with the Dallases, and you can deal with the Seattles or other teams that want to kind of air things out with no problem. You just dealt with Kansas City now, albeit their receivers this year stink. Like, I mean, let's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
be
Let's not.
honest,
Yeah.
their
Let's not.
receivers stink.
Yeah. Let's not fake the funk on that. Like, right. Like,
Right.
I think. Yeah. They definitely
They're not
could have done
good. They're
better.
not good.
Yeah. For sure.
But with all that being said, um, what do you feel the issue is when it comes to the pass defense? Like, what do you attribute that to?
I look at guys like Bradbury and Slay, right? And
Mhm.
so, these are big name guys that I think, they've, in my personal opinion, they've passed their prime, but they're still like the lower end of elite. I want to say is probably how I would envision them. But I think when I look at like their skill set from, especially with Slay, is I think Slay performs better in a zone coverage type of scheme. Whereas when he's in like when he you'll
Mhm.
notice if you watch some of these plays, like he gets cooked when it's man, right? When it's man coverage, he's getting burnt. I think what Slade does well is when he's ball hawking, right? Like when he's out in the free zone,
Right.
like when he's not in the free zone, but if he's out, I don't want to say necessarily safety, but when he's just doing zone reads, like that's where he excels. He's not a guy that's just gonna go lock your top guy, like right, like he's not gonna lock that guy down. And then looking at Bradbury, I mean, I think he definitely is. I gotta be careful how I like talk about him because like I have a love hate relationship with him, but I kind of put him in the same boat as well. Like some games he's on, right? He's making the right lead, making the right reads, making the right deflections, doing excellent coverage. But then in some games I'm just like, how are you getting so burnt, or why are you not pressing like right when depending on the position on the field and things like that. So part of this I think is habitual and like habits and like understanding the schemes that need to be ran. Obviously, we have a new DC in there, but I think he's doing like an amazing job. The numbers are saying so, and I think with the front, the guys we have in the front, with Reddick and all those guys, like obviously Jalen Carter's a stud and all those guys, like we're taking care of business. But I do question, our secondary and like how we're handling some of the downfield coverages and things like that, and even just how we're dealing with like we're so soft in our coverages sometimes, even if we do want to go man. So sometimes I don't understand if we're actually doing zone reads or if we're actually like man press or whatever that may be. It's the talent we're soft. I think from when we're looking at guys getting downfield and things of that sort. I mean, I will state obviously. I think the big one is as we lost Gardner Johnson. right? Like, I think every Eagles fan is a little upset about, the offseason back and forth and the communication and the negotiations as it pertains to him. Is he a little bit of a, an immature individual and may disrupt their locker room a little bit? Those are some of the rumblings, I think, which is why his situation didn't work out where he was before the Eagles. But at the end of the day, the dude's a stud. Okay. And it's unfortunate that, he's injured in his situation with Detroit. But like guys like him, like we shouldn't be letting guys walk like that, right? Like young talent studs, like who had an amazing season last year, and I think we're paying for it this year, right? And so, how we alleviate and fix that? Obviously, we picked up Byard, and he's a stud and made an awesome read on Mahomes in the red zone. Obviously with that pass that was intercepted, which essentially, in my personal opinion, saved the game as far as the momentum in the first half. So like that was a big interception. But yeah, I don't necessarily know what that answer is. But to your point, I think with a team like the Buffalo Bills, who are always looking to get downfield and how aggressive your quarterback is with getting downfield and making plays and extending plays as well. I think this is again going to be a great litmus test for our secondary and seeing if we figured out, where our woes are and were and are for the first half of this season and up to this point.
Hey, Jay, by the way, thanks for joining us. Question
Yeah.
about those rankings, right? Because I try to look at rankings loosely, right? Like I look at last Monday night, and I was wondering if the Eagles sold out to stop the pass, and that how Kansas City had a lot of rushing yards against you, and it was like, wow,
Hmm.
the Eagles are getting gashed on the run, but maybe that was the design by your defensive coordinator, not let Mahomes beat me down the field, right? Even and the conditions were what they were. But also,
Yeah.
do you think your the rankings? We always hear about they're dead last against the pass, and is
Yeah.
that a byproduct of you being 9-1, having leads, where our teams pack it on yards late against you guys? I mean, is that part of maybe what you think, or do you think it's legit concerns? Because sometimes the rankings can be deceiving like that, right? If
Yeah.
you're up 38-24 and somebody goes 80 yards down the field, that tacks on numbers against your passing game, but you win the game. So I was just
Yeah. No,
curious
I
what you
mean,
thought of that.
yeah, I wouldn't say, we're taking our foot off the gas and or like relying on any padding or cushion that we're creating. Because if you look at, I think the spread for all of our games, like these games aren't blowouts, and especially when I'm looking at the competition that we played up until this point, like it hasn't been the best competition out there, especially looking at these next 4 or 5 games, like it's not even close to the comparison of competition. I think it's literally like if you take like a sample size or an example from just Monday night's game, we were triple teaming. In some cases, we're triple teaming Kelsey. And what we're basically telling them to do is these other guys are going to have to prove that they can catch the ball. And it's also taking into consideration of the elements and the conditions they're playing in, right? Like it was sprinkling, it was wet out there, right? So, which is
Mhm.
why I think Mahomes threw for like 178 or something. Like when is he ever? Like
It's
he
one of the
never
lowest
does that,
totals
right?
I can
He's
remember, right? Yeah.
yeah, right. So it's like it's like we were forcing their hand is basically what the scheme was.
Mhm.
And if you think about it, that's a smart approach, right? Like we were literally
Mhm.
triple teaming Kelsey, which opened up a lot for other individuals to step up and try to make plays. And I think we saw on several occasions like plays weren't being made in conversions, weren't being made in crucial moments of the game. And so I think when you look at the outcome of that, that was a smart approach. Is it a risky approach with an elite talent like Mahomes who puts it in the breadbasket pretty much every single time? Yeah, of course. But I think that's a gamble that we want to take playing, someone like Kelsey. Like you can't let that guy get busy because once he gets busy, that opens up their entire offense because now it's a guessing game from that point.
Mhm. And how are Eagle? How you feeling about? I mean, because Hurts is listen. The guy just wins, right? He's just a winner.
Yeah,
Through and through. His just the leadership. He makes big plays. He's got 13 straight wins against teams over 500. It's an NFL
yeah,
record, which is incredible.
yeah.
But where do you are with his knee? Because he does seem a little bit off in terms of running game. I mean, do you think that's something that will get better, or is there something he's just going to have to manage the rest of the season?
Did you see the stat that was you heard the stat that I think in the last I don't know how many games it's been, but I mean he's tied Cam Newton for rushing touchdowns in such a short amount of time. So
I didn't know that.
I have no concerns about Jalen Hurts' knee.
Okay,
The guy
good.
squats the guy squats about 600 pounds, I think, on a regular basis. And
Wow.
that's me just being like a little bit like sarcastic, but like I
No,
think
no.
it's
I
a
just.
thing where the media is always going to zoom in on his knee when he's wearing that
Mhm,
brace. We're playing a
mhm.
full contact sport. There's no one stepping out on the field every single week 100% healthy. Jalen Hurts is fine. He's going to
I
play through it
agree.
like any other athlete does, any dings and things like that. And if he can't play, I'm sure he'll speak up and the coaching staff and the training staff will make the appropriate assessments whether or not he should be on the field or not. But I have no concerns with his knee, especially with someone like Swift and Penny and those guys who are back there that you can hand the ball off to with that O-line. So, no, Jalen Hurts' knee is not a concern of any of ours unless something drastically happens here in the next 4 to 5 weeks leading into the playoffs.
Yeah, let's just hope Jalen stays healthy, though. We don't want.
Yeah,
I
so,
think it's good for football. All
Yeah.
these guys stay healthy.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I do a fair amount of looking into the draft. Like I'm big on the Senior Bowl. I'm big on the Shrine Bowl. I'm watching. I've already started keying in on wide receivers and safeties. I've been watching the kid out of Clemson at safety, and obviously Keon Coleman and Xavier Worthy and things like that. So one of my draft crushes was Sidney Brown. I think Sidney. I mean, listen, I think Sidney Brown is going to be a heck of a player. I think the fact that he's already getting as many snaps as he is a testament to the effort and to the work and to the skill set that he brings. I mean, this is a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. They draft this kid and he's already on the field logging snaps. Can you speak a little bit about what he's meant to the team, where you see his improvement from, his first game to now, and what do you project him to be for this defense over the next few years?
I mean, I think first of all, if I remember correctly, he was picked up in the 3rd round. He came out of Illinois, so I think picking him up in the 3rd round, I think he was like the 60. I forget what pick he was, like late in the 3rd round. We got lucky with that one. Like I'm just gonna call it like it is, right? Like for someone that's that talented, I think green, but also that talented, and also seeing his ceiling, he's gonna be a stud, right? Like I think we got to figure out how to utilize him in the right way and obviously cultivate his talents appropriately. But I think the writing's on the wall with him. He stays healthy. He stays within the system. Our locker room obviously is all about coming together and cultivating these young guys and turning them into studs, right? Like we have so many, I think, vets and captains in the room that are proven winners who embrace like these younger talents, right? Like I think we're seeing the cultivation, then the maturation of Jalen Carter, even just, over the last like 2.5, 3 months, just him being in that locker room. We already knew the kid was talented, which is why, like, I don't know how anyone saw that. But I think specifically with like Sidney, I think you just got to keep going, right? And stay connected. But the sky's the limit for him. He's gonna be a stud Pro Bowler in no time. And obviously, I think let's just continue to build, keeping it really basic, keeping the main thing, which is obviously like the saying that we like to keep, within our locker room here at Philly. But like keeping the main thing, and I just see him being around those guys in the locker room and his talents continuing to be cultivated, and the sky's the limits for him. But him playing at that safety position, like the guy's going to be a stud. He is a stud, and I think his growth is going to be immense over this next 2 to 3 years. And I think more specifically to answer your question, like he's going to be a pillar in our defense in the safety position. So I'm excited about the opportunity with him.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like Byard's young. Byard is young as well. Like Byard's not old. Byard is like 20. What is he, like 27? He's like 27, 28 years old. So,
28. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's going to be there for another 4 or 5 years, still playing at a very high level. And you got this young kid who's chiseled and built like a freaking action figure that runs a sub 4.44. Like he runs like a 4.4.
Yep.
Jalen Carter's up front. Hassan Reddick, again, number 5 in pressure rate and pass rush win rate. Hassan Reddick, number 1 at defensive tackle, Jalen Carter, and then you have a run stuffer in Jordan Davis. Like you have all the pieces. So I almost think that you guys are cheating because you should not be able to stack as much talent as you have been able to stack. I think that there's some collusion going on with the Tennessee Titans because there's no way you get AJ Brown. There's no way you get AJ Brown and Byard for basically like 300 food stamps. It's crazy. crazy.
Hey, Jay,
Oh man.
Jay, one of my best friends is a diehard Eagle fan, right? And
Yeah.
I text him during the draft, like, how is Howie Roseman a magician? Like, how do they let him get Jalen Carter, Sidney Brown,
Yeah.
and make the deals? Like, he's incredible. Like, how does that happen? Like, does he have some kind of special? I mean, as great as we talk about Brandon
Yeah.
Beane, Howie Roseman, we got to give him. I mean, he's just without question one of the best in the business.
Yeah. Yeah. Howie, friends of mine, we joke about it, like Howie must have like the drop on everyone in the Tennessee organization or something like that, right? Like
Yeah,
how is he able
he
to
got
make this happen?
pictures. He got naked pictures of somebody
Yeah,
for sure.
something. He's got something going on. I mean, I think it's a thing where he just has an eye and he understands. I think he has the foresight. He has the eye. How Jalen Carter, like, I know why Jalen Carter even failed to where he did. And obviously the media
Right.
perception around the incident, the unfortunate incident when he was at Georgia. But at the end of the day, I think we have to understand these kids are like 18, 19 years old, 20-year-old, like young men, right? And I think, you talk to anyone, if you go through anything in life, like you mature, right? Like if you look at things I did 10 years from now, or even friends of yours, things you did 10 years from now, even if it's like how you handle your finances, like you're doing it in a more mature fashion because you go through experiences and things like that. And so, like, you look at like Jalen Carter and those guys, like, I think it's just him. It's not really a gamble, but him just understanding like what the opportunities are, right? And seeing that and kind of clearing out all the noise, which I think this organization has been extremely really, really good at, especially with all that like tumultuous stuff that happened with like Chip Kelly, like even like 10 years ago, right? It kind of came in and cleaned house. Like we can't have that type of disruption again. And we really want to build a good foundation to set us up to win. And then 2017 happens, right? So it's like things like that, right? And then I think moving forward, how he's just been able to make the right decisions. I think, is he getting lucky in some instances? Of course, he's getting lucky in some instances, but I think he's seizing these opportunities that he's seeing within the marketplace. I mean, I'll even like as of yesterday, I would say keep an eye, I believe, on like Shaquille Leonard, the situation with the Colts, right? Like,
Right.
we need a linebacker. I can almost guarantee you it's between us and the Cowboys to figure out how do we acquire him, right? Like, those are like real things that I think some teams aren't seeing the value in, or maybe they don't have the need for it. But um, Howie just knows what he's doing. He's a guru. I think he has a great reputation. And I think the biggest thing with Howie, he has the relationships to open up these types of conversations to even make these transactions happening, right? Like some people just might not like you and might not want to like do business with you. Like, let's just keep it real. And when you look at the transactions he's done, he clearly has relationships in place with the right people and he's done right by people. So I don't think that should ever be overlooked, but it's a mix of luck. I think it's a mix of anticipation, and I think we built a culture where people want to come here and are willing to be a part of the culture that's being built in Philly. And I mean, by my estimation, I think we're set up to win, and be in a good position to win for the next 3 to 5 years. So it's a very exciting time in Philly, and hopefully, everyone stays healthy and we continue to keep building as a team and an organization.
Well, I mean, I'm very fond of my own general manager, Brandon Beane. I think he's done a very good job.
Yeah.
With the draft contracts and different things like that, and kind of pushing the right buttons in free agency, in the offseason and this year
Yep.
at the trade deadline. But I gotta give some love to what Howie's over there doing. I'm just gonna, and like I said, I'm a big draft guy, so I'm just gonna read off some names. And I know that I got a couple of my draft homies that are watching right now, and I mean, I'm gonna read these names off, and they're going to all be like, they're gonna all, just kind of tip their cap because
Yeah.
every one of these guys is a guy that I looked at and said, if this guy goes after the third round, or like the round that they were drafted in was a
Yeah.
steal for every single one of these guys. Cam Jurgens.
Yep.
The year
Yep.
that Cam Jurgens was drafted, I think he was like the third best center, and you ended up getting him late second, I think, or something like that. That to
Yep.
me, that was a steal for him to fall
Yep.
to the Eagles and go sit behind Hall of Famer and Jason Kelsey. Bro,
Yep.
like, are you kidding me?
Yep. Yep. Who's better
That's
to learn
crazy to
from
me.
than that guy? That guy's
Right.
a not to interject your piece, but like the guy's a quintessential professional.
Yep.
right? And he's amazing locker room guy. He prepares himself every single year, and you see it. Like I was watching some of these upfield blocks that he's had. Like it's amazing how fast. Like what is he? 37 now? 30. I think he's like 37, 36. And it's just
Yeah,
amazing to see him come out of his snap and to get upfield. It's like it's amazing to see how fast and quick he moves, even at that age and at that size, and like him just laying his helmet, like creating space, right, for Jalen and also for Swift and things like that. Like it's just simply amazing. And to your point, who better to
yeah,
be coming behind, right?
100%. Tyler Steen, loved him coming out of Alabama. I was like, yo, we could get Tyler Steen to come in here. I don't know if we throw him
Yeah.
at guard or tackle, but the kid is
Yep.
big. The kid is athletic. Like he's an NFL. He's an NFL player. How'd you get him? I don't know. Jordan Davis,
Yep.
Jalen Carter, ridiculous. Moro Ojomo, 3 tech out of Texas.
Yep.
Another kid that's built like an action figure and
Mhm.
has the athletic profile to be a very good player. I don't know how quickly he ends up getting on the field, but yeah, he doesn't have a lot of snaps right now, but you're doing how he's building this thing the right way, because as guys get older or they get too expensive, you have their replacement. They've been sitting, they learned the system, they can step right in and play. Let's keep going, right? Nakobe Dean, I know the injury was an issue, but the last season Nakobe Dean had, at Georgia, had it not been for the injury, the guy, the guy's he's a top 15 pick.
Lights 100%. Out.
Yep. Let's keep Nolan Smith, defensive end. The kid ran like a 4.34 or something like that. Ridiculous speed. Speed at the defensive end. I don't understand it. Josh
he's still
Doby,
figuring it out. He's still figuring it out. Like I think he needs to get his snaps as well, right? Like he's
right,
like a part-time employee right now, rightfully so, right? He has to figure out the ropes, whatever. But I think we're trying to figure. I think he's like listed at like 6'1" or 6'2" or something like that. So is it undersized? We don't know, but his speed makes up for that, and I think he has power as well. But he's someone that was a steal for sure, and I don't know how he slipped, and no one saw the value in him. But give him, I think, another year or two, and he's going to be one of them ones for sure. So I'm excited for him. I'm very excited for him actually. But I think him and Jalen are going to be a problem here in the next couple of months. Jalen's already a problem, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Why would you pay Hassan Reddick and it was like, why would you pay him a large amount of money when you have a guy who's faster than him that's learning under him right now, that can step right in and kind of do some of the same things that Hassan Reddick is doing right now? He's literally taking the roster, going to find the carbon copy that's younger. What was that movie with Will Smith where he goes back in time to like fight his younger self? What was that? Mirror Man or something like that?
I don't remember that one. I don't remember that movie.
You know what movie I'm talking about, right? You know what movie I'm talking about? Will Smith goes back and fights his younger self. It's crazy.
Was that Men in Black?
No, it wasn't Men in Black.
That wasn't Men in Black?
No, man.
Okay.
No, that was
okay. No, but he also goes back in time there too. So that's why I thought of that, I think. So that's
you're talking about Gemini Man. Is that Gemini Man?
Gemini Man, yes.
There you go.
This is what Howie's doing. He's looking at his roster and saying, you know what? I need a 3-tech that I need a big guy that can play well against the run and cause disruption like Fletcher Cox. Jalen Carter. Got him. I need another safety that can run and disrupt things. He can play in the slot or he can play deep, and he's solid all the way around. I have CJ Gardner Johnson. I'll just go out and get Sidney Brown as a replacement. Then you have Nakobe Dean as the linebacker that's going to come in, replacement for Edwards, who left to go over to the Bears. You have Nolan Smith. Keely Ringo, another guy from Georgia, 6 foot.
Another Georgia guy.
6'2", 6. Yeah, great athletic profile, press man corner. could possibly switch to safety if they wanted him to. But again, you're replacing a guy like Slay or Bradbury with a guy similar skill set, can play press man, good in zone, excellent tackler. I'm looking at your defensive stats, and you guys are like have like 41 missed tackles throughout the entire year, which is among the lowest. I think you guys are like bottom, top like 5 to 7 in missed tackles.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a tough game. This is a tough team. This is a team built and they're ready for and they're ready to win right now. So, with that being said, let's dive into the game against the Bills. I don't know how much you've watched us play this year, but whatever you saw prior to the Jets game, that was the BB era. That was the before Joe Brady. So we call it the BB. The BB era was before Brady. That offense is dead. We're now in the AD era, which is after Dorsey. This is the era where the offense resembles, some sort of a coherent unit that is fluid and at an NFL level, and it should cause some problems. We are a pass first team. When you look at the Buffalo Bills as an Eagles fan, what worries you on both sides of the football?
I personally believe that I think Cook's going to give us some problems, in my personal opinion. So I'd be interested in like seeing where is he at right now this year in yards. I think isn't he at like 7? Like he's at like I think the last I checked he was at like 650, 700 yards up. Yeah, he's up there.
Yeah, he's number 3 in the league.
Yeah, I think Cook may give us some problems. Diggs, obviously, right? Like he is who he is. That dude's a stud. I think you have a well-balanced attack. Where I think the Bills, to be honest with you, I have not been watching the Bills like very, very closely, but obviously, like I love the sport, so I'll tune in when I can. But I think where I've always seen the Bills get into trouble is when I think this is like a very bland answer, but I think is the obvious one is when, Josh gets into a space where he's just doing too much. Right. And he not overextends plays, but I think he overextends himself. And instead of making the easy play, he's going for the home run play. And I think that's what's like kind of bit you guys in the butt, these first couple of games that you've lost, whatever. But overall, it's obviously a very, very like balanced attack from your end. I think it's just playing solid football. Now, what I will say, like you're coming to our house, so it's obviously not easy to win at the Linc, but I think it's going to be a decent scoring game, and I believe we will get you by 1 touchdown. I'll be nice. 1 touchdown. We'll get you by 1 touchdown. You're going to put up numbers though, for sure. Our secondary suspect, as we discussed, our secondary. So I think Diggs is going to get off a little bit. And I think because he can make the shallow route. He can run the shallow routes, but he can also get upfield. Which that type of versatility, especially with receivers, which is why the guys in Dallas eat us up all the time. Like the schemes they run are amazing, and it's why I think they figured out not to like steer this over to the Cowboys, but I'm just more so speaking to the weaknesses that I'm seeing in that I've consistently seen in the Eagles secondary. I think that the Bills will be able to exploit that, but I think first what'll happen is I think Cooks is going to get off a little bit, and then that's going to have us push up a little bit, and that's when Diggs is going to get busy. And Allen's going to extend plays and things like that. So I think that's my take from the offensive end. From the defensive end, I really don't know. Like how are you guys feeling from the defensive end? How you'll deal with our run game, and obviously our 2 studs and on the outside. Like how are you feeling moving into?
Well, Beyond, you want to take this one, or you want me to jump in?
Oh, feel free. Go right ahead, Little.
Right,
I'm good.
cool.
I'm formulating my prediction.
Yeah, all right. So, defensively, I think that when we signed Linval Joseph, he played for you guys last year. I think that was a big help in the middle of the field. Ed Oliver's always been a disruptive. He's always been a disruptive force. Like ever since he got drafted, it was never a problem with Ed disrupting run plays. It was always his pass rush. So he's kind of got the pass rush part down, and he didn't lose the run stopping capability. So I think that Ed does a good job of busting up kind of elaborate run scheme. So I know you guys run a ton of things where you pull linemen, and those are the type of plays that Ed disrupts. So I like our chances there. We have a lot of, like, it may not look like it if you're just stat watching and you're just looking at the box scores. You're gonna say, wow, look, the Bills suck at running the football. I mean, suck at stopping the run. But to be honest, I mean, you can't really go to a game that we played and said, wow, this guy consistently ate the Bills up. A guy will have 12 carries and he'll have 90 yards, but 75 of those yards will come on one play where Trey White missed a tackle, or there's some miscommunication with the linebackers. Terrell Dodson or Taylor Rapp will miss a tackle in space by not even trying to get the tackle, but that's another conversation. Those guys.
How are you feeling about your pickup? I think, didn't you just do a pickup with Rasul Douglas? Didn't you guys do a pickup this season with him?
Yeah. I was gonna get to that. I like our corners. I think Devonta Smith, I think his speed is gonna be an issue, but I honestly, man, I think AJ Brown's headed for his third straight bad game. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I think he's headed for his third straight bad game. I like Rasul Douglas on him. Rasul 6'2", man. Rasul 6'2". He from East Orange. Like, he ain't with the bullshit, man. he ain't with the nonsense, man. He from the town, man. He from like around the corner. Nah, I like that matchup. I think Smith will be an issue, though. I think Smith will be an issue, but our safeties are still very good, and we did lose Milano, but I'm telling you, this kid Terrell Bernard is putting up all pro numbers. He's putting up all pro numbers. So that's the key for me. The key for me is stopping the run and putting the ball in Jalen's hands to throw the ball down the field. I want to see. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that's where that's the space that I don't mind Jalen doing this on occasion and in the right scenarios, in the right situation, like playing situational football where we're deciding to activate his run, or maybe, which I would like to see more RPO given the talent that we have. Which again, we haven't even done any type of real play action, like in regards, right? Like that's one of this is one of the frustrations with Brian Johnson, is getting him to open up and trust the playbook, and ultimately the talent that we have. It's a very basic offense that he's running right now. And the only reason I think we're getting away with some of the stuff we're getting away with is just we have elite talent at every single position. So it's hard to find the right matchups, right, for a lot of defenses. Where I think we may get in trouble a little bit this game, I'll be honest with you, is the absence of Goddard to simplify the game for us, right? And so it's getting to a point, giving like how I'm almost, scared to say predictable offense has been, is just like these go routes that we continuously run. Like, it's easy for defenses to sniff that out, right? And to put a cap on that. And so I think where Goddard and perhaps Swift will do is just kind of get defenses to push up a little bit. And now that Goddard's going to be out, this is his third week. So we probably won't get him back till, let's just say, the Dallas game, right? Like, that's not going to happen for another 2 weeks or so. So that's the thing. That's a risk that we run with Goddard. But yeah, I think it's going to be a good matchup over there with AJ. Devonta Smith, again, he's underutilized this season as well, because AJ's just been getting busy, right? So you got to keep feeding the hot hand, and he's just such a disadvantage, or such an advantage with anyone who matches up with him, whether that's short, shallow, fade routes, go routes, whatever that may be. He's just such a matchup because his hands are ridiculous. His speed's not incredible, but his hands are ridiculous. He's run great throughout, and he's hard to tackle, right? And so, I really want to know, what is your? I feel like I'm interviewing you now.
I like it.
What is your take on the Von Miller situation? Is that panning out to what you guys wanted it to be, or what's your take on that?
Me personally, I see the hate from a lot of Bills fans. Oh, we overpaid for Von. He stinks. Dude, Von is 33 years old, 30 about to be 34. Like the man came back from an ACL
Yeah,
in less than a year. Like,
yeah,
chill. But
yeah.
with that being said, like I like honestly, I know Von has to get snaps because we need to ramp him up for the playoffs, and I'm good with that. But when it's winning time and it's money down, Von, sit your ass down, okay? Because
Isn't
AJ,
what's his name over there? Leonard, isn't Leonard over there with y'all?
oh yeah.
Leonard,
Leonard's at like 9 sacks.
he's increased.
AJ
Yeah,
Epinesta's at like 6 sacks.
Mhm.
I think Ed's at 6 as well.
I
But
believe
Y'all
so.
ain't
Boots
no
at
joke,
4.
man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Y'all no
yeah,
joke. Like y'all no
yeah.
joke over there. So
I
we're
mean,
gonna have our hands full.
Jay,
We're gonna have our hands full.
Jay, the thing with Von Miller is we knew at the time it was a very aggressive move that either could be looked at smelling like roses if we won the Super Bowl last year, right?
Correct.
Or a
Yeah.
situation where we're going to start hearing people say, well, well, the injury didn't help, like Whittle said, he's still coming back for that, but it carried a risk and we knew it. But I still applaud our GM for going for it at the time. We just knew that the other side of this now where we're at was a potential pain point for us. So that's where I still think he brings a lot behind the scenes to this team,
Yeah.
as in terms of leadership and experience and everything. But I'm going to give him a little
Well,
more
I mean,
time to recover from an injury for this year.
that move felt like it was the Von Miller move. I mean, just look at you guys the last, like, I want to say 3 seasons. Like it's always felt like the Bills are one piece away. That's what it's always felt like, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you guys should have been in the Super Bowl, to my estimation, in the last 3 to 4 years twice by now. Just because it's felt like you were right there one piece away. So I understand the aggressive gamble that you took with Von Miller. I mean, he was lights out, right, for Bronco. I like for the Bronco. I get that, right? But I think I'm interested to see how he continues to work his way back into being the stud that he was. Hopefully not this Sunday. We don't see any glimpses of that, but I think I'd love to. I mean, how are you not a fan of this guy, right? He's all pro. Like he loves the game. You can tell he loves the game. He's prime time when he's healthy. You love watching him play. So it's not going to be easy this Sunday. I'm by no means. I think we have an advantage because we're at the Linc for sure. But I think we're missing Goddard. Our offense is still figuring it out. We're able to win because we have the talent, right? So it's going to be a shootout to some extent. It's not going to be a low scoring game. But I got to go with my guys at home at the Linc, and we're on a roll right now. And I think this Chiefs win. Yeah, like what do you say? It wasn't the Super Bowl rematch that perhaps we wanted because everyone wasn't healthy or he didn't, Mahomes didn't have all the studs he normally has or whatever it may be. But I think that was like a moral and emotional boost for us to just get over the hump with them, just to see us beat them no matter what. By the way, it's not easy to go into Arrowhead and win. Right?
We
No,
know that.
we know.
That's
We
right?
know. We're always there.
It's not
We're there every
easy.
year. We'll be
Yeah,
there.
it's not easy. So yeah,
But we go there and win consistently though, just not in the
yeah,
playoffs.
Not the playoffs.
yeah. I think you guys and Burrow is the only one that can confidently say it's we don't really trip too much about going to Arrowhead and taking care of business or being able to go toe to toe with them. But yeah, what's your take for Sunday? What's the spread on your end? Like, what are you guys thinking?
You want me to go, Whittle, or you want to go?
Yeah. We might as well get into predictions. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. First of all, Jay, I'm going to say I have tremendous admiration for the Eagles organization, top to bottom. Right, from ownership to GM to, I mean, they're my kind of team all the way. Like if I wasn't a Bills fan, if they somehow disappeared, I'd probably be an Eagle fan. I got a lot of buddies like the Eagles are from Jersey. You know what I mean? Like I've always been
Yeah,
I'm always great with the Eagles. But I'll tell you one reason. You said about last Monday night, such an emotional win, right? You got San
yeah,
Francisco next week. I feel like this is, I don't want to say it's going to be a total letdown for the Eagles, but there's something to be said for desperation, right? The Eagles are 9-1, right? The Bills, I have to believe, are thinking, listen, the season's not over if we lose, but it's pretty close if we
yeah,
do lose, right? I feel
yeah,
like this is an opportunity for this Bills team to send a message to the AFC. Hey, we're entering the chat again. We're still here, right? Don't forget
yeah,
about us. Though you wrote us off a couple of weeks ago. It's hard to get up for games every single week like the Eagles. You know what I mean? I was very impressed
yeah,
with your performance Monday night. It wasn't your best, but you still found the way to get it done. And that's what
yeah,
I admire about. And I do, McDermott against quarterbacks with Hurts' skill set, he's pretty successful at. Whittle, I think you'd agree. You know, when we face running backs like not running backs, excuse me, quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, right? You know, we do a nice job of containing, right?
Mhm.
That part of the game. So I have confidence that Sean will scheme up something good this Sunday against the Chiefs. I mean, AJ's going to cook, right? I believe he'll get his yards. You know, I feel like the magic number for us is 34. I feel like 34, 31. I feel like we get it done. I feel like the Bills are looking, that it's the desperation. I feel like we're all in this week. We're coming in with a big chip on our shoulder, and we find a way to get a win in one of the toughest places to win in the NFL.
Yep.
Whittle?
I'm
What's
gonna
up?
go next. I'm gonna let you end it off, Jay. But
Yep.
so I feel a little bit differently. I do agree that the Buffalo Bills have to approach this game from a sense of desperation. We get the opportunity to watch Miami and the Jets play. If Miami beats the Jets, we know we have to beat Philly in order to stay. Keep the distance with the division lead. And if they lose, then it's like, yo, we can take this division back now, right? So I think we go in 34 is the number. I was struggling between 31 and 34 because I do believe that playing the Jets was an excellent way to get prepared for playing the Eagles. I think you're going to see 6-man protections. I think you're going to see 12 personnel where one of those 2 tight ends is actually an offensive lineman. I think we're going to double Hassan Reddick. I think we're going to chip Hassan Reddick. I think we're going to tell Dalton Kincaid will win 11 personnel or we go empty. And we're gonna say, "Hey, not Dalton. Why do I call him Dalton Kincaid? I mean Dawson Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid. I think we're gonna tell Dalton, hey, before you go run your route, put your shoulder pad on Hassan Reddick on your way out, right? I think we'll send running backs to chip him. We're gonna try to make life hell for him, and we have to protect our right tackle Spencer Brown. We're going to get the ball out quick. Your linebackers are not great in coverage. We are going to utilize. I'm glad you brought that up about Cook. I think Cook will get off, but I think him and Ty Johnson will get off as receivers. And Dalton Kincaid is going to be utilized over the middle of that field. I think play action is going to be heavy. And I think that this offense, I think Josh Allen is bought in. I think this is a favorable matchup for the receivers, because you guys do play zone, but you do play a fair amount of man-to-man as well. And I think whenever Josh Allen sees man-to-man, he's ready to go. Like, he loves man-to-man coverage. So I'm going 34-23. I think we get a turnover. I think we get an interception. And I think that's the difference in this game. I think we do a very good job for stopping the run. I do think that Swift and Jalen Hurts will have they'll have each one big run this game, but I think overall running the football on us is a net negative. And the key is to keep you guys out of 3rd and 2. If we can keep you guys out of 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, we're in good shape, because ain't nobody stopping that damn tush push. So 34-23. Buffalo's taking this. We need it. And I think you guys know that if you drop a game, you want to. It's the AFC. Like, who cares? You already beat the Chiefs. You got Dallas and the 49ers coming up. So I think we sneak by you guys.
Okay, I'll take that. My answer is going to be very simple. What is this? The second game Joe Brady is in the mix with Josh Allen?
Yep.
So because of that, I'm going to say I envision Bill's offense being fairly one-dimensional for this game. And I question their ability to adapt to an environment in Philly being one-dimensional with everything that you just said around our defense. it's going to cause problems. And what happens when you're one-dimensional and Josh Allen starts feeling a little antsy? What does he do? He starts to overextend and over-index in areas that he shouldn't be. And I think this is where he's going to get touched up a little bit when he starts to get around these corners and run into these guys like Reddick and those guys. And so this might be the opportunity for Bradbury, Slay, Byard to go get their money and opportunities downfield with that, which is why I think now, with that being said, Philly's offense still ain't clicking like it should be clicking. And so with that being said, I see us winning 28-24, but if we were to drop one game, being 9-1 at this juncture of the season, this would be the game to drop. I don't want to lose to the Niners. I definitely don't want to lose to the Cowboys. So I'd be okay if we drop, like, I want to win every game. But if I were to pick and look at the schedule of a game that's okay for us to drop, it would be this one, right? But I think, again, our advantage is the fact that we're at the Linc, our defense is clicking, and we just have the talent. Like, again, our schemes that we run offensively, like, they're not, I won't say they're one-dimensional like the Bills, given that, right, Brady's only been in for, he's 2 weeks in with Josh Allen and them figuring everything out. And, obviously you guys, have good momentum, I think, going your way a little bit. But I'm saying 28-24 at the Linc, we got you. But if we were to drop a game, it would be this one, and I wouldn't be heartbroken by it. I think it's good to lose a game around week 10, week 11, or whatever it may be, right? Like, I think it's good to do that because we can't just be running through, like, the regular season undefeated because you get a little bit jaded, when you move into the playoffs, like everything's a cakewalk. But I absolutely do not want to lose to the Niners or the Cowboys. That would be very frustrating. So, and I say that with respect. If we were going to drop a game, the Bills would be a team that I think it makes sense to do that, especially just given the time of year we're in and where we're at as a team, 9-1. And like, I think this will be a good check for us to kind of get our stuff in order. But I think this game is going to be exciting. It's not going to be a low scoring game. We know that. Like, it's not going to be always going to be low scoring, but I think it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a fun shootout, I think.
I agree.
There's going to be some picks thrown. By the way, there's going to be some picks thrown. I know that's going to happen for so. So we'll see which side throws the least amount of picks, but I'm looking forward to it.
I you know what? One of the mayor of Bills Mafia, my man Lee Shaw, aka Warlow, he has been clamoring for a clean Josh Allen game, and as hard as it is to fathom based on what we've seen this year, I watched Josh Allen go into Kansas City and put on a show, man. And this is one of those type. This is one of those. This is like one of those type of situations where it's just like, dude, he's going into a hostile environment where most people don't have us winning this game. Most people look at our record, they say 6-5, whatever. Like, the Eagles are 9-1. They're gonna run through this. I don't see that, man. I think the offense hits the ground running. I think the opportunities in the air is there. So but we'll see, man. Like, the game's got to be played. It's going to be played on Sunday. But Jay, man, I appreciate you coming through. Thank you very, very much. Do you have anything that you would like to plug? The floor is yours, sir.
No, man, I really don't have anything I like to plug. I think just like just here to just kind of double down. Like, I really like what you're doing. It's a pleasure meeting both of you. Obviously, Whittle, you and I have known each other for a couple of years, like through the social spaces and things like that. But I'm a big fan, especially the opportunity to allow me to come in here and just like talk football with you and just get to know the community here. So I will be tapping in as a listener more often, and I'm here to support you as much as I can. So however I could help moving forward, like, tap me in. And as soon as you sent me that DM, I was like, hell yeah, I'll jump in and talk football with you and talk ball and just say what's up and have a good conversation. So thank you both for having me and talking shop.
Appreciate you for sure, man. Thank you.
Yeah. My Twitter is I can plug my Twitter in there. I'm not like a celebrity or anything, but it's the real J Ham. So yeah, like, definitely follow me. That's all I do is talk sports on my Twitter all day long. Silas knows what's up. So yeah.
There you go. We're gonna
But
throw it
thank
up
you
there
so
on the
much, Jay.
jumbo.
I really
There
appreciate
we
you coming
go.
on.
Follow my guy, everybody. The real J
For
Ham.
sure.
Follow him. All right.
Done.
Appreciate y'all.
Got
All
it,
right, y'all
Jay.
be easy. Thank you.
Happy
All right,
Thanksgiving to
sir.
you and your
Thank you.
family, Jay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you as well. Thank you.
All right, later,
All right, see
bro.
ya.
All right, man.
Well, here we
How you
go.
feeling?
Very, again, quietly confident. I could be negative at times, as you know, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like, again, just a lot of subtle changes we made. I feel like, but again, it's going to be another challenge for Joe Brady, right? We were up in this game. He was able to implement his style. What if we're down 17-10? Crowd's going crazy, right? I think they're calling for 50 degrees, maybe a chance of showers. So weather shouldn't be
Ooh,
too much of a factor. I
that's
don't know how,
beautiful.
yeah, I don't know if it's the rain. Yeah, I always worry about the rain more than anything else. So hopefully it's not
Right.
a lot of rain, but that could always, but I think that's better for us, right? Those are the kind of games we want. So, but
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how Joe Brady reacts if we're just, things are not going well early, right? Especially on the road. So another step in AD as you have coined it. So we're in game 2 of AD come Sunday.
After Dorsey, that's right.
Yep.
I I don't. I mean, maybe this is just me being a fan or whatever, but gosh, man, I feel like Josh is due for like one of those games, man. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
one of those games. And listen, he's got the numbers to be in the MVP. He's got the numbers to be the MVP front runner. He's not because we're sitting at 6-5, but this is one of those legacy games, right? This is one of those games where you solidify yourself as he's already one of the elite QBs, but I think this is one of those games where you solidify yourself as, hey, you know what? I'm here, man. Like I
Mhm.
know it looks like I went away, but I did not go away. I'm still here. So
That's right.
yeah,
And what
man.
a And that'll be amazing momentum into our bye week as we get a little healthier, hopefully going into another showdown at Kansas City. So
Yeah. I doubt Daquan Jones will ever see this, but hey, sir, if you're listening, if you ever do get a chance to see this, man, really could use you, big guy. You know what I mean? Like this is one of those
absolutely.
games where it'd be nice
Yeah.
to have you. So Dallas is coming up in a few weeks. Hint,
Ooh,
hint.
yeah. Another tough match. Yeah. These next, yeah. Worst case scenario, Whittle, I'm feeling you mentioned those 3 games: Philly, Kansas City, Dallas. I feel the Kansas City game is almost non-negotiable at this point, just because we need the conference wins. If you give me 8-6, okay, at worst, right? If we go into that, we got the Chargers, we got the Patriots, and the Dolphins. We could sweep those games. We could get to 11-6. Again, I'm going worst case here. Not, I'm shooting for 9-5, but what I mean is, as long as I think minimum 8-6, I still think we're in good shape to either make it as a wild card or win the division.
Yeah,
Assuming,
I don't think that the wild card for us will be as in play as people think. Um,
Mhm.
the Steelers and the Browns, uh, they neither team can score. Right, they had the lowest over and under I've ever seen in
Mhm.
my life. I think it was like 32, which is
Yep.
ridiculous. But their defenses are amazing. They managed to still win games, and their schedule going into the end of the year is
Mhm.
not that bad. So both of those
And
teams
yep.
have a chance to get a wild card. I think Houston as well is in the
Mhm.
wild card race.
Yeah, there's something.
Um, it's gonna be tough, man. Like it's
Mhm.
gonna be tough to get a wild card. I think the way that we get in is through the division,
I agree.
and you know we got to beat Philly to we got to beat
Gotta be
Philly to keep
Philly. Yeah.
pace.
Yep.
We got to beat Philly to keep pace. So
I agree.
I won't be surprised if we don't win, but I expect us to win this game because what I watched out of Philly and Kansas City, I saw two very beatable teams. So yeah, man. Yeah, that's where we're at. Coast to coast
Mhm.
every Wednesday, it's 10:22 now. So
We got a
we
great
go
guest,
over every
Jay.
week, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
we go over every
Yeah.
week. We might
It's
as well
okay.
change it.
Yeah, 9 to 10-ish Eastern time, right?
That makes a lot more sense. Let's go ahead and put that
Yeah.
in there.
That's the beauty of the podcast, right, Whittle? You never know.
That's
You
it,
never know
bro.
what you're gonna get, right? So
That's it.
9 to 10-ish Eastern time. There you go. Good stuff.
There we go. Let's try it now. Let's see what we got. There you go.
That's fantastic.
9 to 10-ish.
Ish Eastern time. I love it.
So
And the bigger the game, the more we're gonna go, right? This is
that's it, man.
I
That's
think this
it.
is where we're at. So let's hope we have another long show next week.
Yeah, listen, the Kansas City game, the Kansas City preview is gonna be good, man. I'm shooting to have a few guests. What I
Yo,
want to do for the Kansas City game is basically add somebody else on the Bills side. Maybe it'll be you know maybe it'll be LeSean, maybe it'll be
yeah, that sounds great.
somebody else
Hmm.
that
We
I
could
don't
do
know.
two. We got 2 weeks, right? We could do two, part 1 and part 2 of that game. It's gonna be so big. So
Yeah, let's see.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can go different. We can go different routes with that. But
absolutely.
yeah, not to keep you guys on too much longer, but yeah, Coast to Coast. Check us out Wednesday 9 to 10-ish p.m. And we're gonna try to keep bring you this Buffalo Bills content. We're gonna keep trying to bring you this content with featuring these other NFL teams. So we understand our opponents, we understand their strengths, their weaknesses, their rosters. Um, free agency is a real thing, man. Some of these guys may end up on Buffalo or vice
Mhm.
versa. So thank you guys all. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for liking, subscribing to YouTube. Even if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitter or whatever else, please go to the Facebook page, like, subscribe. That'll help us out a lot as we try to build this thing. And Beyond, you got anything before we go?
No, just want to say, Whittle, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. To everyone
Absolutely,
out
man.
there. We're so thankful to do this with you every week. Look forward to many more. So just want to wish everybody out there enjoy the games tomorrow. I know they're not super compelling, but still it's football and family and food. So you really can't go wrong. So everybody enjoy their holiday weekend and let's go Bills.
Go Bills.